Yeah, hello and welcome to my MIS lab. This is going to be a complimentary lecture on the foundation of business intelligence, which is database management systems. Um, in this session, we are going to learn how to create access database from scratch. We're actually going to create a customer order um, database. All right, so let's jump straight to it. So I'm going to open Access. If you have Microsoft Office installed, you simply go to it, look for the Access package. All right, so once you open Access, this is the first interface you are going to encounter. And then there are a number of things there. We have blank database, asset tracking, and contacts, students, event management, and tax management. So there is even an arrow here for you to get more of that. Okay, so all these are templates you can use to create your databases. Yeah, but in this session, we want to create a database from scratch. So we are going to go for the blank database option. So let's simply click on it. And then once you click on it, yeah, you shouldn't click twice. If you click twice, it's going to open straight towards the database. Yeah, but we should have named it before we go to the database. So let me repeat the process. So let's click the blank database. Just click once, then you'll be allowed to name the database. So I'm going to call this one, yeah, customers. Yeah, so this is going to track customers order. So once you fill in the name, just hit this create button and it takes you towards your access database. Yeah, so what you are seeing here is the interface. So let's try to familiarize ourselves with it. Yeah, so at the very top of it, we have what we call the menu bar, which contains file menu, home, create, and so on. Yeah, so right below that, we have what we call the ribbon. Yeah, so anytime you click on any of the menu items, it opens a ribbon, and a ribbon collects very important tools, yeah, that I mean you can use in developing your database. All right, so let's look at the create button here, and then in the ribbon we usually have sections. So we have the table section, the queries, the forms, reports, macros, and then you may want to use some templates as well, so you can get that from here. Okay, so when you go down, yeah, on the left corner of it, you have what we call the navigation pane. Yeah, so in this navigation area, you have all the access objects. So as you build your database, you'll be creating database objects. So all the objects will be featured in the navigation pane. So at the moment, we have only one object, and that is the table. Okay, so what we have here is a default table open to us. Anytime you try to create an access database, I mean, it will open a default table to you. So we can close that table, and then when we then create any other objects, we'll have the objects display in the navigation pane. All right. Um, Access database objects include tables, queries, reports, forms, and so on. So all these objects, once we create them, they will be displayed here. So let's create our first table here. So I'm going to hit the table button there, and then it opens a table. Normally the table has two views. We call them the datasheet view and the design view, and you can find it right below the file menu tab here. Okay, so what we are seeing at the moment is what we call the datasheet view. Okay, so normally the data sheet view is like your Excel spreadsheet, except that in Excel we call the columns. Yeah, we use columns and rows in Excel, but in database we use what we call fields and records. So the fields are the columns, and then the records are the rows in the case of what yeah, Excel. Okay, now let's move towards the design view because we want to design. So what you do is that you go Yeah, right below the file menu, you have what the view tab there. Click on the drop down and then you pick the design view. Okay. So once you pick that, they are going to ask you to name your database table. Yeah, Access is a relational database. And then in relational databases, data is stored in what? Tables. And then you build relations between those tables. So let's name our first table. So if we are creating a customized order table, we may call our first table what orders table. So let's just say orders. Yeah. Okay. So that is the orders table. Let's hit OK. And now it takes us to the design view. So now in the design view, you have to what? Provide the full names. The full names are going to be what? The attributes of your entities. So if you are creating an access database, first you have to identify what the entities. And the database we are creating is what's for customers order. So one of the entities will be orders, another entity could be customers, another entity could be the salesman. Yeah, so we are going to create the orders table now. And the fields should be what? The attributes of what? That particular entity. So if you are creating an entity or a table for orders, then you should have what? The order number, okay? So that is the first entity we are going to capture. Yeah, and invariably that is the field, okay? So we'll say what order number. Then the order number, by default, they'll give you auto number, but you can choose the appropriate data type here. So you look at the data type drop down and select the appropriate. We could leave it at auto number. If you leave it at auto number, it means the system itself is going to generate it for you. But in a case where you have what order numbers that you want to input, then you have to select either number, or you can use short text as well. Yeah, so if you are not going to use the numbers for arithmetic, then they can be what represented as what text. Yeah, so in this case, I'm going to represent the order number as what text. We are not going to use it for any arithmetic, so that will be fine. Now let's go to the next, and then we can say, yeah, I have some orders table here. Let me just refer to it. Um, Okay, so you have order number, you have purchase amount, order date, customer ID, and salesman ID. All right, so then we'll say purchase amount. Yeah, so you can just make it short as well. So purchase amount, let me use underscore. And the purchase amount is going to be in what number, or for that matter currency. So let's pick currency. Amount is going to be what number will be fine. Number will be fine. So let's don't use currency for now. There will be time for what currency. All right. So yeah, but because we've been providing what shorthands, it's probably better for us to provide a description such that anybody that picks this database in future, they will be able to what um, they should be able to understand what we mean by order number or order NO. What does that mean? So we'll say what order number. Then the other one is what purchase. Yeah, purchase ID. Oh, sorry, purchase amount rather. Okay, yeah, so that is a description. So let's look at our table once more. So we have what orders, order dates, customer ID. So let's go for the order date. So I'll be using underscore order date. So the data type, normally you should select the data type here. So we can use date and time. Yeah, and the other option is extend date and time extended. So this is probably more involving. So sometimes you want to capture a lot more information. So you can use date and time extended in that case. All right, so let's select date and time. Then we'll also pick the yeah. So we'll also add the salesman ID. So sales, yeah, salesman ID. Let me make it together. Salesman ID. So this we can use short text, and that will be fine. All right, so let's leave it at short text. Then we can have what customer ID, because some customer is going to be making the order. So we'll have what customer ID as well. So short text as well will do. Okay. So these ones, I mean, we may not put any description. If you feel it's, I mean, there's really no need to do that. Okay. Yeah. So now, yeah. All right. Now I'm going to save the table. Yeah. So let's get back to the datasheet view and look at the table. So this is the design view of it. We have designed our order table. Let's look at it from what's on the datasheet. So they are asking us to save it. Yeah, let's hit yes. So the table has been saved. Okay. So this is our orders table. Now let's create our customers table. So I have what a sample customer table here. So we're going to need a customer ID, customer name, city, street number, and then so on. So let's do that. Let's go to the create tab, hit on what table. So it gives us a new table. Let's go to the view button here, hit on the drop down, select design view, and then name this particular table as what customers. Okay, so let's hit OK, and then we will have to what now provide the attributes of the customer in this particular yeah, design area. So the full name, the first one will be what customer ID. So customer ID. So once you have customers, you give them IDs. All right. So let's leave it at probably auto number will be fine. That is if the system is generating it. But if you want to provide it, you may use short text. You may use number and so on. So let's go to the next one, customer name. All right, so let's have the customer name, and then that one we can use short text. But you have to take caution here. Anytime you are using the short text data type, it means the particular field will only be limited to 255 characters. So when you come down here, there are some information there for you. So you can see field size. So the data type we are selecting is what? Short text. And then when you come to look at the general description, yeah, so we'll have the file size here. The maximum for short text is what? 255. So if you are going to enter a value that will be more than 255 characters, then short text wouldn't work. But normally, when you look at somebody's name, um, if you are putting both names together, can it be more than 255? Yeah, if it cannot be more than that, then short text is okay. But if it is more than 255, then you probably should be using what long text. And depending on the access you are version you are using, you may not see short text and long text. You may see what yeah, memo, and then what yeah, text and memo. Yeah, so text will be what? Short text, and then memo will be long text. All right. So now we have the customer name. Then we'll also add the city. So let's say city, and the city short text will do. Then the other one will be what every customer interacts with a particular what salesman. Yeah, so we should bring the salesman this customer is dealing with. Okay, so let's say salesman ID. But you should also take caution when you are creating these particular names. You should make sure it corresponds to what other tables, because I believe we have what salesman ID elsewhere already. So we can look at the orders table. We have what the salesman ID. All right, so this is it. Yeah, so anywhere we are creating salesman ID, it should be consistent with this particular one. Okay, so let's get back to the customer table. So we have what the salesman ID. So I have to change the S to at lowercase. All right, so this could also be our customer table. Um, yeah, I should have brought street, but it's okay. All right, so salesman ID is also short text. Okay, so let's save it and then we'll get back to what our datasheet view to see what we have there. All right, so let's accept it saves, and then this is the um, customers table we have created. So let's get back and create our third table. Our third table, I'm going to use what design view straight away here. Okay, you can do that. Earlier on, we were using this particular what button, but now we can use this button as well. So let's open that. So once you open that, it takes you straight to the design view. So the full name for the salesman. So we need to add our salesman here. Salesman ID. Yeah, normally the ID is very important because in relational database, one of the advantages of it is that you are able to enforce referential integrity. You are able to stop duplicity or duplicating records. Yeah, so the ID fields later on, will make them the primary key. Yeah, so that will be the field that will uniquely identify all the records. So once you have what IDs that are so unique, then you can use them as what we call the primary key. And primary keys are the fields that allow you to uniquely what identify the records in your database. All right, so let's be consistent with the data type as well. So the data type, I believe in the rest, we use short text. So we are going to maintain that consistency. All right, so we have the salesman ID, then the salesman name. Yeah, so normally you cannot just use name because name is what we call a reserved word. So you can just say salesman name. Yeah, name is a reserved word, and then if you try to use name, it wouldn't recognize it as a full name. Okay, so salesman, then let's say name. All right, then with the salesman name, we'll leave it as short text because we are assuming that it shouldn't be more than what 255. Then we can perhaps put the department or the branch. Yeah, let's use branch. Yeah, because the salesman would obviously work in some branch, so perhaps branch name, and then we'll leave the branch name at long text. Let's use long text for the branch name. Then we also put the address. So address. Okay, so the address we'll use let's say long text, and then we can add the contact or the phone. So the phone number. Then or probably let me just shorten that, and let's have what yeah, phone number. You can use text and it will be okay as well. Yeah, but let's use number for the phone number. And the description here, we'll see what phone number. All right. So let me see, what else do I need to add to the salesman table? Yeah, so the city, do we have the city? Then the commission. Yeah, so every salesman is entitled to some commission. Yeah, so let's say commission. And let me see what more. Okay, so that is it. So we can say the commission, should it be a number? Yeah, perhaps we can use number. Okay, let's get back to what's the datasheet view to look at the table. So they will ask us to save it, and then we'll name it as what salesman. Okay, all right. So they're asking us a primary key is required. So let me make sure I provide a primary key. The primary key should be the salesman ID. Okay, so that is fine. Let's get back to our datasheet view. All right, so do you want to save it? Yes, salesman. Okay. All right, so our salesman table is saved. Okay. Yeah, right now we have what, three tables, and the next thing we can do is what we can enter data straight away on the tables here, but normally you wouldn't want to do that. Um, Because when you do this, you think about the security. If the database is going to be used by people, they shouldn't have access to the tables itself. They can make a lot of what changes there that I mean you wouldn't want. So let's use some forms or some sort of interface to allow people enter data to these tables. So to do that, let's go to the Create tab. Then we'll look for the form query, or a form wizard rather. So I'm going to hit the form wizard from here. All right, so the form wizard is going to we have what we call composite form. So you can create one form that will enter information to all these tables. Or if you want, you can just create the form that will enter data into the individual tables. So let's do the individual for now. So you can see that at the moment the salesman table is featured. So you can select the table you want to create a form for from this particular drop down. All right, so let's leave it default, that is salesman, and then we'll push all these fields to this other side. That is how to select them. All right, so I'll just simply move them with the arrow and it selects all of them. Yeah, and then if you want to move them back, you can move them back one at a time, or you can move them in at one at a time, and so on. Once you are done with that, hit the next, and then if you want it to be in this particular layout, you can use it. There are other layouts, you can look at them. Yeah. Okay, so this is the first one, and then the last one also looks attractive. So let's stick with the first one. All right, so how do you want to name the form? So you provide a form name here. So I'm going to leave it as salesman and I'll hit finish. All right. Yeah. So that is going to create a form for us. So this is the form we can use to enter data into our database table. You can modify this form a bit. So at the moment, the form is in the form also has a number of views. Okay, so we have the form view, we have the form layout, and we have the form design. Okay, so form layout and form design are both for what I'm really designing it, but the form layout is more limited and the form design is more extensive. So let's let's go to the form layout. So with the layout, you can resize some of your fields, and then you can change the color for the background and other things. So the salesman ID, So the ID field, if the ID is not that long, I mean, you can resize it. Okay, and then the name. So should the name be this long? I don't think so. So I'm going to just resize it to somewhere here. So I think the branch name as well, the space there is too big. Okay, so let's resize the branch name as well. Okay, so you just have to what control and drag them. Okay, branch name could also be the same size with the salesman name. And then the address, I think we'll probably leave the address. The phone number, the space, I believe is too small. So let's expand it a bit. And then the commission. So I don't like the position of the commission. So I'm going to drag it up here. Okay. Or if I want, I'll take it to the top corner here, and then we'll leave the commission there. Okay. Yeah. Um, all right. So now let's just make some other modifications. We can change the background color so that it will be more attractive. Yeah. So you can simply click on that, right click, and go to the form properties. Yeah. So the form properties, you will have to look for let's say form properties. Let's look for the back color. So that will allow us to change the background color. So you can see the back color here. You click on it, go to the three dots at the end, and then you probably should pick let's say light blue. uh, Let me see which color should look nice. Okay, maybe something like this will be better. All right, so now let's go to the main form itself, and then we'll change the background color as well. So I'm going to make it pick the ash color for it. Okay, so you can see that our form is beginning to look better, and the text is also what sort of faint. So I'm going to change the text color. Yeah, so instead of going to what you can change the font size, the font type, the color, and so on. Yeah, so you can do it just like the normal Microsoft Word. So let's go to the Home tab, and then you also have what options here to change the text. So let's make it black, and then we can increase the size from what the font size from 11 to 12. Yeah, and if that is not okay, we can make it 14. All right, so 14 looks much better. Okay, so this is our form in the layout in the layout view. All right, so I'm going to what we can change the colors as well. Let's see. Maybe the black color is not that great here. So let me go for other color options. Blue wouldn't be okay. Let's see the white color. Oh, that is not that great. Yeah, so if we are going to use white color, perhaps we should change the background color as well. Okay, so let me see. Okay, so if you want to use black color, then the white will be okay. So perhaps this color. Yeah, so this is the form we have created. Mhm. Yeah, for the salesman. So the moment we want to enter data, we have to go to what we call the form view. So this is the form view. Yeah, so it means at this view you should be able to enter data. So let me close the ribbon. Yeah, and this is the form. So once we enter data here, it will go to what our um, yeah, on a salesman table. So let's say the salesman ID is 100 yeah 21, and let's hit tab. Then the salesman name, let's say Kofi Asante. Yeah, all right. So then let's get a branch name. So we'll call it Accra branch. Yeah. So and then the branch address, let's say Accra Central will be what or what do they call it? Prof. Atamil Street. So let's just say Accra Central. Accra Central, perhaps district. Then Atamil Street. Okay, so that is it. All right, then the phone number, let me put some number there. So 0244, let's say 556. All right, so this should be the phone number. So once you hit the tab key, then it gets to the commission. So what commission are we giving this particular person? So let's say a commission of 50 Ghana cedi, or perhaps, and the commission, if it is in percentage, then we'll just say 10%. Okay, so let's hit the tab key, and then it saves it. Yeah, so the moment you hit, you are entering, you keep on hitting the tab key, and then once you are done, it enters it. Yeah, so to see our the data we've just entered, let's go to the salesman table. All right, so the table was already open, so we'll need to refresh the table. So once the table is open already, so I'm going to the salesman table. Let's close it. So let's close all the tables, and then once you open it, the updated records will reflect. Okay, then the orders table, let me close that as well. Okay, hit yes. Okay, now let's open the salesman table. Then we have our data there. All right, so let me enter a couple more data into the table from the form. So yeah, so if you have customers, it's this form you are going to give to them, and they are going to what enter data into what so it's a sort of a system. Yeah, at the end of the day, you can really what put securities in it, such that your customers or your employees would only deal with the form and they wouldn't see the tables, because when they see the tables, then they can be able to get into the tables and do things that they may not be allowed to do. Okay, so you can actually lock all of that at the end of the day, and it will just look like a simple what application program. Okay, so we are going to enter more data here. Then we'll have what the salesman name. This time I'm going to use Kojo. Yeah, yeah. All right, just give only one name. Then the branch, let's say Medina. Yeah, address, let's say UPSA is a street or something like that. Then the phone number, let's provide the phone number as well. So with that, let's say 02, yeah, 55 sometimes. Then let's okay, they are telling us that the full size is small. So there are some securities or some checks you can put in place so that people don't enter wrong data. Yeah, perhaps, I mean, if I'm going to yeah, do another yeah, follow up version of it, I may have to explain all of that. So the commission here, let's make it 10% as well. So hit the tab key and your data goes. So let's enter more. Yeah, then we'll have our, then let's see, La Paz branch. All right, so let's see, La Paz Street, something like that. Okay, and the phone number. So if you don't have the phone number, there's nothing wrong with that. And then the commission, let's enter the commission. So all right, so now let's go to look at our salesman table once more, and we'll have to reopen the table. So we'll have about 3 records there. So these are the records we've entered into our database. All right, so now yeah, we can do the same for the rest of the tables. Yeah, and then we can enter data into all of them. But let's create forms for all the tables. So I'm going to create the second form, and you go to the form wizard. Look for the form wizard under the form section in the ribbon. So this is it. And then this time we are going for orders. Okay. So let's select everything from here, and then let's hit next. Okay, next, and then you hit finish. All right, so this is the orders table as well. Then you can you have to open the ribbon, yeah, where you will have to go. Yeah, so this is the ribbon. Let's go to the layout view. Yeah, so here we can do the design. So the order number, the space is too large or so. Purchase amount is okay. Okay, let's see. Is that okay? We can extend it a bit, or probably here. Then the dates we can extend it as well. All right, then the salesman ID, that is way too big, so we'll bring it down a bit. And then the customer ID folder as well, is also really big. Okay, so I'll bring it here, and then that is fine. So now this is the form as well. So let me quickly just add some colors to it, and then just use Control Select, and we can change the text color to white. Okay, and then we can make it bold, and we can also increase the size of it. So the size will make it 14. Okay, so let me also change the color of the header. So once you are in the home tab, you have all the colors around, and then you probably will want to make it look a bit identical. All right, so let's pull this one down. Okay, so this is the orders form as well, and then once you go back to your form view, you can be able to enter data and then save the data as well. So you can do similar. So you can see that in the navigation pane, all the objects we are creating are being displayed in the navigation pane. So let me create the last form. Yeah, so let's see, order number. Let's put some numbers before. Okay, so Okay, so I've changed the text color, the background text to at white. So we have to change that as well. So let's go to the layout. Okay, let's go to the layout view. Okay, yeah, they want me to enter some what number there. All right, so now let's change the text color here. Yeah, because I use Control Shift, I selected everything when I was changing the color for the name, yeah, the titles here. Yeah, so that is what affected it. So I'll simply go to my home tab. If you don't want to use the properties window here, just go to the home tab and then you change the text color towards black. All right, so you can see that we have our black, and now we can go back to the form view, and then we'll enter the order, then the date. You just simply pick that. You can use today's date, and the salesman ID, let's say something, and then we'll have what the customer ID. We'll also put some numbers there. All right, so that is it. um, okay, now let's create the last form for let's create the last form for the customers. So you can just simply close these forms that are open. So they'll ask you to save them, and then close everything we have opened. You can close, and then you can always open them anytime you want. All right, so let's create the last form, and yeah, we'll go to the form wizard, and we'll look for the customer. Okay, that's the customer table we've selected. So let's select everything here, hit next, then next, and then we'll hit finish. All right, so this is the customers table as well, and then we'll go to the layout view, and we'll have to change the background color. But if you don't want to change it from the properties, yeah, so the properties sheet is open here. You can look for the back color, and then we can change that to, I think, light pink. And so, and this ones I'll use control select, and then I'll simply change the font. So we are looking for a font. Yeah, yeah, so normally the font is called the four color. Yeah, so if you want to do it from properties, you should be looking for four color. So four color is right here. So I'm going to change it to black. Yeah, but simply, I mean, you can just do it from what um, the home tab. So it's right here. So let's change it to 14, and then we can make it bold. All right, so let's change the background color as well. We've been using black background color. So let's pick dark color here. Yeah, so the writings, we'll change them to white color since the background is dark. Yeah, the writing should rather be white. All right, so that is it. So we are done with our sales form as well. So once you are done with it, you can simply save it, and then you go back to the home tab, and then you can view the form. Yeah, so now the form is in view mode, so we can enter the customer ID here as well, and the customer name. Yeah, so let's say Coffee Asante, and then the city is Accra, and the salesman ID. Yeah, so we are going to put what's the salesman ID there as well, and then you hit tab, and all this data is entered. We can verify that by going to look at the database tables. So let's go to customers. All right, so we have the data there. Let's go to orders. We have some data on orders, and then let's go to salesman. We have our salesman data. So this is how to create database tables and create forms and use the forms to enter data into the databases. The next thing I'll be doing, I don't want it to be too long, so I'll pause here and create a second video, and in the second video I'll be creating relationships between these tables we have there. We have three tables. I'll actually create relationships between the tables. Then we'll create queries, and then we'll create reports and so on. Yeah, so probably it will be in yeah a series, so about 3 or 4 of them will do. Yeah, so this is for those that want to really learn something practical about databases. And then I mean you may find uses for this for your businesses or your office activities and so on. Yeah, this is a very useful productivity tool that you can use, yeah, in a lot of ways. Yeah, so I'll do the series, yeah, and then it wouldn't, yeah, this is not for exam. All right, so let me just make that clear. It is not for exam, even though during in the exam, especially the objective parts, there are some questions about database and so on. So yeah, so I'm going to end it here, and then see you in the next video.